Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about matrices. A matrix is just a way to organize information, and it's arrangement of the information in rows and columns, and you just put the numbers in rows and columns. Here's an example of what a matrix can look like. The way this is organized is that it tells us that Tim sold 9 pizzas and 5 cookies. Sue sold 7 pizzas and 6 cookies, and Joe sold 11 pizzas and 3 cookies. Just a way to organize information. Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about is adding and subtracting matrices. You can only add and subtract matrices if they are the same size, meaning they're going to be the same number of rows and the same number of columns. And when you add and subtract them, you're just going to add and subtract the corresponding numbers, or the numbers that fall in the same positions on the matrices. Alright, so let's look at an example. We have our first matrix is 2, 3, negative 6, or negative 3, 6, and our second one is 0, 5, negative 3, negative 1. So, our matrix when we add this is we're going to take our 2 plus 0 to give me 2, so the 2 is going to fall in that spot. For my second value, I'm going to take 3 plus 5 to give me 8. My third value is going to be negative 3 plus negative 3, which gives me negative 6. And finally, we have 6 plus negative 1 to give me 5. And so your final answer would be this matrix right here. Alright, here's another example. When we subtract, works the same way, except now we're actually subtracting the numbers. So 2 minus 4 gives me negative 2. 4 minus 3 gives me 1. Notice how I'm putting my answer in the exact spot of where the numbers that I subtracted or added was. My next one is going to be negative 6 minus a negative 1. Now remember, when I subtract a negative, it's like adding, so I have negative 6 plus 1, which gives me negative 5. Remember, when we subtract a negative, it's like adding. Next I have 3 minus 0 is just 3. Anything minus 0 is just itself. And here we have 5 minus a negative 2. So again, 5 minus a negative 2 is like 5 plus 2, which is 7. And then finally I have negative 1 minus a negative 1, which is negative 1 plus 1, which is going to give me 0. And so when we subtracted these two matrices, this is my final answer right here. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is actually multiply a matrix by a scalar. Now a scalar is just a fancy way to say that we're going to multiply it by a number, such as 2. So 2 would be our scalar. Okay, when we multiply a matrix, basically it's a form of distributing. We're going to multiply everything in the matrix by the number on the outside. So we're going to take 2 times 3, which gives me 6. I'm going to take 2 times negative 2 to give me negative 4. Notice how I'm putting my answer in the corresponding spot where those values were. 2 times 6 gives me 12, and 2 times 0 is 0. So when I multiplied 3, negative 2, 6, 0 by a scalar of 2, I ended up with this matrix right here. Alright, let's try one more example of multiplying. So remember, when I multiply by 0.5, it's the same as multiplying by a half, which is the same as just dividing by 2. So when I take 0.5 times 6, it's the same as 6 divided by negative 2, which is going to be negative 3, or negative 1/2 times 6. Okay, negative 0.5 times 0 is just 0. Anything times 0 is 0. Negative 0.5 times negative 4. Negative times negative is a positive. 1/2 of 4 is 2. And then negative 0.5 times negative 2 is going to give you a positive 1. Because 1/2 of 2 is 1. And so here is your answer for that one. Negative 3, 0, 2, 1. Something I did not mention yet, but make sure you are putting your brackets on the sides of the matrix when you are done. It's not complete without those brackets. All right, and now if we want to look at combining those two concepts, so we're going to look at combining addition and multiplication. Now, our order of operations tells us we need to do multiplication first, so that's exactly what we're going to do. So my first matrix stays the same, 2, 3, negative 1, 4. Plus, now I'm actually going to multiply this scalar of 2 by everything in my second matrix. So 2 times 3 is going to give me a 6. 2 times 0 is going to give me a 0. 2 times negative 6 is going to give me negative 12. And 2 times 1 is going to give me 2. So now it's back to an addition problem. So now I take 2 plus 6, which gives me 8. 3 plus 0, which gives me 3. Negative 1 plus negative 12 to give me negative 13. And finally 4 plus 2 to give me 6. So your final answer when you add and multiply a matrix is right here. All right, if you would add these two matrices together and bring them to class tomorrow, that would be great. We will see you tomorrow.